Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for our radio audience tuning in at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, joining us are our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. Well, it's great to be able to start off the new year with a great message. And best-selling author Tami Charles is back with us to do just that. It's a book that's geared towards young people, but believe me, us adults can definitely learn a lot from it. The book is called We Are Here. We're going to talk to Tami not only about the great affirmation she's able to share in this book, but also the encouragement for us to be able to realize the greatness within ourselves, to harness that, realizing there's no matter where we're from, what we're able to achieve today. Tami, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cyrus. Great to be here.
Hey, look, the pleasure's definitely all mine. And this is such an encouraging book, an inspiring book, as I said, of course, with young people in mind, but a great message for all of us. What has that been like for you, Tami? I want to ask you personally, what has that been like for you to be able to harness your own inner greatness and to be able to share it the way you are through books?
That's quite a question. I'm laughing because I think sometimes it's hard to accept compliments like that. I'm blushing. Thank you so much. It's really been a journey. I love what I've been hearing from readers, the feedback, the inspiration that the book has given lots of readers. So all of that, if anything, it just inspires me to just keep going. So the response has been incredible. I'm very grateful.
Well, and it's not just a compliment I'm throwing at you, Tami. It's something that's very true. And as I was reading the book, what I thought about is that's really what you're trying to get the reader to see. And I think sometimes, as you may have problems accepting the compliment, I think sometimes it's hard for us to realize the greatness that's in us, the greatness that we're capable of doing. So talk to us about that, if you don't mind, Tami. When did you realize it? When did you know that these things were possible, what you could do was possible?
Oh, my gosh. I could tell you this. Growing up, I didn't know. And I think it had a lot to do with, even though I loved reading books, of course I still do because I write them, but when I was a child, I did not read a lot of stories that featured kids of color, kids from marginalized backgrounds and abilities. So forward to when I became a teacher and I noticed that there were more books, more inclusive books, and seeing my students and their reactions to seeing themselves in stories, but also learning about people who were different from them, that is what really, ignited that flame. My students and I, we would write stories together. We would read all these wonderful, diverse books together. And they would say to me when I would share my writing with them, Miss Charles, you could be an author. So they were the ones who kind of, helped me pull back out that childhood dream I had for myself. So I have to give them a lot of credit for inspiring me the way they say that I've inspired them.
And I think, too, Tami, the book also encourages us to realize that all of our greatness is different, that we don't have to be the same. I want to read something from the book, and let's talk about it, because I think it goes to the very point. You say in the book, we are intercontinental, can't you see, with our strut and our style, trendsetters, go-getters, swagger that sweeps across the globe. I love that because, again, even in the pictures, which are great compliments to your words, it really shows that we all kind of have our own thing. So has that been part of the joy for you as a storyteller, especially a book like this, as I mentioned, maybe geared toward young people, but a great reminder for all of us to be able to accept themselves as individuals and to celebrate that?
Oh, absolutely. When I wrote that is one of my favorite spreads. We are intercontinental. Can't you see? I'm shining a light on that we are not a monolith. Mm-hmm. We are all across the globe. We have different personalities. We have different things that we like or love to do, and that's okay, and that we should absolutely celebrate what makes us an individual. So you kind of hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. And Tami, even the title of the book itself, 3 words, but 3 powerful words, we are here. And I think that is, too, being seen, but also making a difference, making an impact, and letting people know the impact that we are making. Talk to us about that conversation, what that's been like for you to have with people.
So I would say that these conversations, first and foremost, have been at home with my son. And these conversations that we have had, he's turning 13 soon, but my son, as young as 5, started asking me these tough questions as early as kindergarten. He wanted to know, he loved learning about Dr. King, but he wanted to know, Mommy, if he was doing such a good thing for everyone, well, why did the bad guys hurt him? So even at 5 years old, I was having these incredibly thought-provoking conversations with a 5-year-old, which kind of translated into that first book, All Because You Matter. And then when the pandemic hit, my son at the time was 10, and he had more questions because he saw things in the news. And it really made me see that, these conversations that I'm having with my son, I bet you other parents are having these same conversations too. So why not write something that can really help them, kick off conversations from a place of love and self-worth and that, that important reminder that we matter. So we are here. It shows the evidence of these are all the people who came before us, and they dared to dream so that we could do the same. And here's the evidence. It's all in this book, a loving reminder that we are here too to make an impact on the world. And that's a message I think all children can benefit from.
Tami, you mentioned your son and having those conversations about Dr. King. Of course, there's a great illustration of Dr. King in the book, but also, as we see in a couple of the illustrations, there are things that remind us of what we've seen. There's a man with his hands in the air, his eyes closed. Of course, the individuals protesting, wearing masks. You have, of course, another picture in the book of the kids in school with the mask on. So our lives have definitely changed a lot. A lot has happened. What was that like for you to see those illustrations? Of course, there's also George Floyd, the illustration of George Floyd in here. Talk to us about what it was like for you to see these illustrations connected to your words.
So Brian Collier is a genius. And I can't really pinpoint which ones are my favorite illustration, but I'll mention 2. One being the spread where I say we are fearless more than we know. When the world closed its doors and worry set in, there we were, putting on our capes, springing to action again. In that spread, you see taxi drivers. You see a man on a bike who's clearly making a food delivery. You see children in masks at school. Here I'm shining a light on the everyday hero, the people who deserve all of our respect for braving this pandemic and doing what would seem so simple, like delivering food or going to school in a mask, but yet so very heroic. So that spread is my favorite. And if you notice in the art, there's a pink balloon, and that balloon follows our main character throughout the story. I don't know if you got a chance to read the dedication, but I did dedicate this book to Grace. Grace is the child that I lost years ago. Brian put the balloon in the story to kind of represent Grace, who she could have been, but also the spirit of grace that we all need, that loving reminder that we're not alone.
Wow. What a beautiful thing. And I think, again, Tami, what a great message to start off the year. Again, everyone, best-selling author Tami Charles has been our guest. We Are Here is a new book. You all can go ahead and get it now. Of course, our friends at Amazon.com, they have it, but also order it through your favorite bookstore as well. Tami, really appreciate this time. How can our audience stay connected with you?
Sure, thanks so much. You can find me on Twitter at Tami Writes Stuff, and that's Tami. That's the spelling of Tami. And on Instagram at Tami Writes.
All right, Tami, congratulations to you again. Thank you again for starting off the year with us and looking forward to our next chat together.
Thanks so much.
You're more than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Then let's go make today amazing. Take care.